A young couple goes looking for a camping spot in the woods. Unfortunately for them, they picked the worst spot to hang out. As usual, the first thought that comes to mind with privacy is to smash, but they soon realize they're being watched by hunters.
Can I help you with something?
The boyfriend thinks they're regular hunters and goes to confront them for invading their privacy, but these guys hunt people. The boyfriend is killed and the girl is taken. Recently retired Army Special Forces soldier Danny Beckett meets up with his estranged wife Janine at their daughter's soccer match.
Nice shot, Alex!
Alex has college visits coming up, but Janine is unable to go with her due to schedule changes at the hospital. While both have rocky relationships with Alex, Danny is looking forward to making up for lost time and trying to reconnect with her. He picks her up the next day from home, and it's obvious Alex is not happy.
Oh, come on, closer than that.
But Janine thinks one day she will appreciate Danny's company. Danny is excited, but Alex just stuffs her earphones in for the trip. Their first stop is Benson College. Danny tries to connect with her over cat videos, but Alex sarcastically thinks he must have never had internet since they never spoke. Danny tells her being a soldier is who he is and apologizes for being away, but when Alex asks if he would do it again, he cannot answer. He is carrying his firearm, so Alex asks him to put it away as she doesn't want people to think she's a redneck. So just to give their relationship a chance, Danny locks it away. The two then start touring the campus. Danny joins some parents for a presentation and is asked about Alex's favorite subjects and hobbies. He only knows that Alex loves soccer, not much about her hobbies or anything else, just that this university was her first choice.
Just to be clear, this is a college.
And he gets corrected that Benson is actually a college, not a university. Not a very good first impression on behalf of Alex. The two get back on the road. There he tries to have another conversation with her about her studies, but Alex isn't in the mood to talk and just forwards him her transcript instead. The two wrap up the day at a motel where Janine calls to check up on them, reminding Alex to connect with the soccer coach as the next school has a scholarship. Turns out Alex doesn't even like playing soccer that much and has other interests she wants to pursue. Danny figures she likes art, actually reading her transcript and seeing the extra classes. Alex seems impressed hearing this, but shuts down once more and doesn't want to have a conversation about it. The two get separate rooms for the night. Then the tone suddenly shifts as we're introduced to a family cult. They have a huge problem, as their women are failing to produce any healthy living children. The next day Danny and Alex stop by Alton University. They have 2 more schools to visit, but Alex isn't feeling up to it at this point. There is a particular art school that she is interested in, but she doubts Danny would be up for it as it's a 9-hour drive. To her surprise, Danny is up for the trip as he has nothing but time. She doesn't want Janine to know just yet though, as she just wants to figure it out herself, so Danny agrees.
Where are we headed?
The two hit the road. They are unable to find any vacant rooms nearby, so Danny suggests, if it comes to it, that they could camp out as he has his gear in the back. Along the way the cell signal disappears, so Danny thinks it's a perfect chance to have a conversation. He wonders why she is keeping secrets from Janine. Turns out Janine doesn't think there's a future in art, and hiding it just feels better than confronting the topic. He suggests she just be honest, but Alex turns the tables. She knows he loved the army like life itself and doesn't believe his retirement story, and Danny kind of confirms this with his silence.
Good talk.
They stop at an ancient-looking gas station where Alex decides to head inside to use the restroom. Inside the shack she sees eccentric masks and carvings, then meets the owner, Abigail, who directs her to the bathroom but has a creepy energy about her. Alex follows the directions and encounters another creepy man, who insists on knowing her age but she ignores him. Danny purchases some water inside. Abigail asks about their destination and finds out they're looking for a place to stay, so she suggests a campground nearby, even helping out with a hand-drawn map. Not even a minute after Danny and Alex leave, the man tells Abigail to call Stanley. The two follow the directions, unknowingly driving over a sign indicating that the campground has been closed for a while. They get to a massive lake, a very familiar scene from earlier. After setting up camp, Alex shows Danny some of her sketches, and he is super impressed. To be fair, they look really cool, so he urges her to pursue her dream. The air starts to get chilly, so Danny plans to go look for firewood, and this is where the entire movie goes to hell. While walking, they begin to hear some strange sounds that Danny believes might be a raccoon or some animal nearby. But after a while, it turns out they're being stalked by two men.
It's a person.
Danny calls out to them, but the men seem to be stuck in character, treating the duo like animals. Danny apologizes for interrupting their hunt, but soon realizes they are the prey. They run to the truck only to see it driving away with the gun. Alex gets grabbed, but Danny calls on his military training and drops them before they run into the woods, escaping an archer. Danny and Alex hide under a tree root and come face to face with a decomposed corpse. Danny hears radio chatter nearby. Two men come close, reporting back to the Stanley person that they lost the duo, and he warns them to find them or not return at all. Alex is freaking out, blaming herself for not telling Danny about the creepy guy at the gas station. Danny has also suffered an injury, but they have no time to waste, and he needs her focused if they are to survive. They head out and soon stop by a river to fill up on water. Alex is still blaming herself, since she's the reason he locked the gun away, but Danny reassures her, gun or no gun, he will get them out of here, as these guys just messed with the wrong dad. They start following some train tracks when they come upon an RV in the woods. Alex thinks it might be a hideout for the men, but she sees an antenna, which could mean a radio and an opportunity to call for help. They approach the RV from the woods to avoid being spotted. Danny hears no one inside, so they get closer, only to be greeted by a barking dog. Suddenly they are attacked by the hunters. But Danny fights them off, even killing one man with Alex's help. Danny is then attacked by a tank of a man, but he manages to get the RV rolling, eventually pinning the man against a tree, giving them a chance to escape. Alex trips and sprains her ankle running away, and is having a hard time keeping it together, but they can't stick around and have to keep moving. Back at the RV, the hunters gather around their fallen brother. One thinks they need to get help as Danny was not what they expected, but the others know Stanley will be mad if they return without the girl and must continue chasing them. After walking for a while, Danny suggests they stop and take a look at her ankle, as not resting makes them more vulnerable. They find a cave next to a river with a good vantage point on both sides, and Danny pulls out some MRE meals for them. Alex asks again about his reason for leaving the army, so Danny finally gives an answer. Turns out he had a fist fight with his commanding officer after an op went bad. They were on a rescue mission. Families were trying to escape an attack, and Danny tried helping a child, but his CO ordered him to stand down. He refused. They got in each other's faces, and punches started to fly. In the end, they lost the kid, and Danny got kicked from the army. He didn't know how to be a soldier and a dad at the same time and apologizes again, and Alex understands. The two spend the night hiding out in the small cave. The next morning, Alex walks into the woods to pee when she runs into the hunters and hides. Danny is waiting for her to return when he is attacked by a lone hunter wielding a knife. The man almost overpowers Danny, who manages to kill him with his own blade. The hunters spot Alex, who runs back to Danny, and the two cross the river but run right into other men who start coordinating to cut them off.
Crossing the river, straight at you.
Danny and Alex get to a gorge, and without much time to think, they jump over and into the river. The men fire arrows, but are trying not to hit Alex, as they want her alive. Danny and Alex escape unharmed, but this false hope is shattered when they run right into the men led by Stanley. Alex is grabbed while Danny is hit over the head with a large rock and his body thrown back into the river. Luckily for my recap, Danny soon comes awake and crawls from the river, Alex nowhere to be found. He goes back to the spot where they got grabbed, and from here the dad disappears and the soldier takes over, and the hunters will now become the hunted. He starts overclocking his senses, following the slightest trace of tracks and markers left by the men. Alex finds herself locked in a cabin. A pregnant woman, Lily, comes to visit her, the same one from the beginning of the movie, warning that screaming will only anger Stanley. Stanley barges in. Alex demands to be released, but he thinks she's just scared, and that will soon pass, and she'll gladly be a part of his family like Lily was. Danny finds the hideout and starts planning his next move. Alex has heard enough. She attacks Stanley with a plank and escapes from the shack, so Stanley gathers his men to get her back. Danny launches his attack on the men outside before knocking out two men posted inside a building. But still no sign of Alex. It's not long before Alex finds herself at the edge of a cliff, face to face with the sea, and falls to her knees in despair, realizing there's no escape. Stanley finds her there. He appreciates her strong will, but demands that she return without a fuss. Danny has all the men tied up, demanding information about his daughter. One man smugly responds that she is gone, while another starts describing how she is being impregnated. So without a word, Danny cuts off one man's finger, and for the man that insulted Alex, he stabs him in the neck so that he will slowly die choking on his own blood. The men now realize Danny is not to be messed with. He turns his attention to one shaking man, who instantly reveals that Alex is on an island. He doesn't want to say more, so Danny removes an ear to motivate him. One by one, Danny interrogates the men, learning that the man whose fingers he cut off, Ray, is Stanley's actual son. As for Alex, she was taken by Stanley for breeding, as their women are unable to have babies due to toxins in the water they drink. Danny has heard enough and wants directions. Stanley hears radio chatter. It's Danny, who reveals that he is Ray and demands Alex. He allows Stanley to hear Ray's voice.
Go fuck yourself, you son of a bitch.
So Stanley does the same for Alex,
Say hello to your daddy.
Dad!
telling Danny it was never his intention to hurt her. Danny doesn't care and warns him to bring Alex if he wants to see his son alive again. Stanley soon gets back to the mainland with Alex and a few men. Meanwhile, Danny starts checking around the cabin, concocting a plan for the inevitable confrontation. Stanley drives to the cabin, but tells his men to wait a distance off. Danny soon sees them pull up outside. Stanley enters with Alex, his gun aimed at her. They come face to face with Danny, who has a knife to Ray's throat, warning that the gas has been on for the last hour, so he should put his gun away. Stanley starts ranting. He thinks Danny would have done the same thing if he was about to lose everything he worked so hard to build. He was living peacefully with his so-called family, away from society, until they started poisoning his water with their chemical plants, causing his women to go infertile. Danny doesn't care one bit. He just wants Alex back, then they can go back to doing whatever it is they do. Stanley releases Alex, who warns Danny that men are waiting nearby. Stanley lunges at him with a knife, but Danny holds him off before redirecting the knife into Ray's chest when he tries to intervene. Men rush the building, but Danny is prepared, diving into a refrigerator room and setting off an explosion, wiping out the men. The two emerge soon after to see bodies all over. They leave, unaware that Stanley is still alive, his own son's body shielding him from the worst of the blast. A few weeks later, Alex is accepted by the art university, and Danny and Janine help her with her stuff. Danny and Janine are dating again, and Alex is thrilled that they are back together. They say their goodbyes, leaving Alex to start her new journey. They walk away, but nearby, Stanley watches them closely, ready to get his revenge. A few months later, Alex is excelling in art school, making friends, and even finding herself a crush, Justin. Later, she makes plans to attend another friend Tyler's birthday party. Danny calls to check in with her, as she has a flight home this weekend. Janine advises Danny not to get his hopes up, expecting to spend much time with her. As for Danny, he has a meeting with an old buddy, Curtis, from the army, who has a private contracting job offer for him. Janine is worried for his safety, and worse, she has gotten used to having him home in the past few months. But Danny promises he won't do anything to jeopardize what they have. The meeting with Curtis sounds promising, lots of zeros, freedom to operate, and leading his old buddies from his team. Curtis wants him to think about it, reminding him he was one of their best. The weekend comes around and Alex shows up to Tyler's party with her friends at a bowling alley, where Kyle is also present. That night, Danny is planning to pick Alex up in the morning, but Janine won't be there as she has work. He then tells her about the offer from Curtis, and she can see that he's conflicted. Danny wants to work, as he can't just sit around all day. He briefly considers being a cop, but just can't bring himself to do it. Tyler's party wraps up, and Alex has an Uber coming for her. Justin confesses his feelings to her, and they're about to share a kiss when Tyler interrupts them, asking for his cell phone. Her Uber gets there, so the two say goodbye. She enters the cab, unaware this would be the beginning of another scary ordeal. Danny is at the airport when he gets a call. It's Stanley, who reveals he has drugged Alex and plans to get revenge for his only son. Danny warns him to let Alex go, or he will kill everyone he loves, but Stanley's son was everything to him. Danny rushes home, preparing to go get Alex back. Janine tries to talk him out of it, warning that he is walking into a trap and will get himself killed. Danny refuses to call the cops as he knows what Stanley is capable of, but this is what he was trained to do. Seeing his determination, Janine concedes, urging Danny to bring their daughter home. Danny hits the road, memories of the previous confrontation with Stanley and his group. From his memory, he locates the campground where it all began. Alex wakes in a cabin, and a familiar face brings her water, Lily. Alex knows Danny is on his way to save her and offers to save Lily too. But her son is here, and she believes this is her home now. Danny finds the cult's hideout, sees it flooded with men, and readies his weapon.
Closer! I'm here to surrender.
He then surrenders to the men as Stanley demanded, and they take his firearm and zip-tie his arms before confirming with Stanley that they got him. The plan is for Stanley to execute him, so they start leading him to a boat, but Danny cuts his zip ties and brutally takes down the two men holding him. The third he takes down on the deck of the boat. Lily is with the father of her child, Wayne, a young man who grew up in the cult, but is kind to her and their child. Lily recalls Alex's words, then remembers her boyfriend Brandon and the day they were taken, and seems to have a change of heart. She knows how dangerous Stanley is, but what if Alex's dad is able to get to her? They could also escape, but Wayne is scared as this life is all he has ever known. Danny has the dead men propped up on and around the boat to look like the usual crew, then sets off toward the island with a plan in mind. Lily, deciding to help Alex, slips a note into her cabin, and this gives Alex an idea. She then begins to fake illness, and when one man comes to check on her, she stabs him with a fork and escapes the cabin. As Danny approaches the island, he sets it on course before diving from the stern of the boat. Stanley has eyes on the boat approaching, but sees the men slumped over with no sign of Danny, and orders his men back to the compound. He gets back to learn that Alex has escaped. He then spots the note Lily passed to Alex and realizes she is headed to the cove. Danny comes ashore and starts making his way towards Stanley's hideout from the hillside. He soon arrives and, using the thick brush as cover, he surveys the area. Meanwhile, Alex is still on the run with men chasing her. She hides as the men close in. She hears the men ordered back to the compound, but this was just a ploy to draw her out of hiding. Stanley calls Lily and Wayne and reveals he found the note. Lily tries to deny it at first, but confesses that she just wanted to make Alex feel better. He thinks she needs discipline. Wayne tries to defend her, but Stanley warns that if he won't get her in line, he will. Outside, Danny is making a map of the compound when he spots the men return with Alex. Stanley is running out of patience with her and orders her to be taken to the lockdown room. He wants Lily locked away as well before ordering his men to get the floodlights ready for tonight, as he knows Danny is somewhere out there watching. Soon Stanley calls a meeting of the entire compound. He reminds them how affected they are, but they have hope since Lily gave birth to a healthy child and there will be more. However, there is a threat to their way of life. Danny, who killed 11 of their men including their son, vows to destroy their way of life, so they must band together and fight off the danger. Danny sneaks into a shed nearby, steals an airbag compressor, and disappears before he is seen. That night the floodlights are turned on, but Danny is just biding his time. Alex has also been tampering with a piece of floorboard, which is almost now loose. When the time is right, Danny re-infiltrates the compound without being seen, rigging the compressor to a gas cylinder using an electrical wire, which will explode once the switch is turned on. He continues rigging the place with whatever he can find before leaving without being noticed once more. The next morning is when Danny makes his move, taking out 2 unsuspecting men and stealing a radio. Stanley is keeping an eye out when Danny radios him. He is giving Stanley one last chance to hand Alex over, but Stanley wants him dead and nothing else. Danny then reveals himself to the men, causing them to chase after him. He leads them through the rigged building, taking out a few men before the others set off the explosion, alerting the entire base. Danny leads the men through the series of traps he has laid, using his knowledge of the compound to stay ahead. He gets to a shed he suspects Alex is in. A large man confronts him there, but Danny lays him out with one kick. He finds Lily there and frees her, and she offers to help him find Alex. Stanley follows the trail of destruction left by Danny, who is constantly evading them. He knows Danny will be back for his daughter and plans to set a trap. Danny leads Lily back to his hideout in the woods. He hears the men reporting that Stanley has left the compound, so he comes up with a plan. He heads back there, this time allowing himself to be caught. The men end up throwing him into Alex's room, and the two finally reunite. He wants to find a way out when Alex shows him the loose floorboard. Danny and Alex get back to Lily, but there he learns about Lily's baby. He is with Wayne, who she swears is a good man, as he isn't the father of her child but kept the secret to protect her. While Danny distracts the men, Lily and Alex secretly visit Wayne, who has the baby. Lily has made up her mind to leave with the baby, but Wayne is hesitant. He only knows this life, but seeing a chance to live freely with Lily, he agrees to steal the boat keys and meet them at the cove. Stanley learns about Alex's escape, and learns it was Wayne's idea to put them together. Abigail tries to explain that he was scared, like everybody else after what has been happening, but Stanley doesn't care as everything will soon come to an end. Lily, Alex, and Danny start heading toward the cove, but Stanley has one last surprise. It turns out he has kidnapped Janine, mocking Danny that this is checkmate. Wayne is searching for the keys to Stanley's boat. He tries to hurry as the men radio for him, but a man soon finds him. There's no question in Danny's mind that he is going for Janine, but this time he needs Alex's help. Stanley is tired of waiting and drags Janine outside to make a spectacle of her death. Wayne is also dragged out to him, now determined to leave the island. Stanley calls out his betrayal, but Wayne thinks Stanley betrayed himself and the people he was supposed to protect. While this is going on, Alex breaks into Stanley's office, finds his rifle, and loads a bullet in, but before she can make a move, Abigail holds a crossbow at her. Outside, Wayne tells Stanley it's not too late to do the right thing, but in response, Stanley shoots him dead. Danny then reveals himself. He asks Stanley to release his wife, but Stanley plans to keep her, along with Alex, and start a new family after he is dead. Stanley raises his gun to Danny, giving him a chance to say one last thing to Janine. Danny pours his heart out about how much his family means to him. Janine is in tears, but Stanley isn't moved, and all this was just a ploy to buy him time. Stanley raises his gun, but Alex shoots him dead. She reunites with her parents, and Lily and Abigail cry over Wayne, who turns out to be Abigail's grandson. In the end, Lily and her son join the family in leaving the island, and Danny is happy to have his family back together. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time, go ahead and hit that like button, drop a comment, and of course, subscribe for more recaps just like this. And hey, don't click away just yet. YouTube thinks you'll love one of these two videos popping up right here, so check them out next.